movie from which I took that wonderful song. Very, very exciting song, and that will get started. Of course, the Navratri season is here, holy season is here, and we'll have some those type of songs as well. So if you have a special song for Garba or special song for this holiday season, Navratri, or even the haunting song, like for Halloween. Halloween is coming, right? So speaking of the Halloween, we have the ghost. I mean, the host, guest host here. Just a joke. But let me welcome her, and then of course we'll go with more of your favorite songs. And once you find out the subject matter, and once you find out the name of the guest and what she's up to, you can always call me and relay the questions to them. And also, if you have a suggestion for a song for this idea, for this theme that we are having, which you're gonna identify as soon as I play a couple of more songs. But before I do that, let me introduce my special guest today on Glimpses of India. This is Dev Joshi bringing you nothing but the best from the studios of WRSU and, of course, the one and only Glimpses of India, Bharat Radio, coming to you live, the community radio that we come to you every Sunday afternoon from 3 to 5. And thank God, Rutgers won, and they made the game shorter. I thought the game was going to run even longer, and when that happens, sometimes we get stuck extending our starting point. So right now we are on the dot for the starting point. You heard a beautiful song, and let me introduce now for our with our special guest that she has a lot to say and a lot of things to contribute to our program, as well as she also contributes a lot for being an author, a physician, and of course our Mefilian as well. She's part of our BDC club, so that much hint I'm going to give it to all my BDC members, and once they know, and I think they already know because there was some slip of tongue and everybody found out who was going to be my guest today. But let me introduce Dr. Asha Menon today in my studio. And Asha ji, namaskar, and thank you very, very much for taking the time out. You must be pretty busy in the holiday season. I know you are involved in other community activities, and of course, Garbas going on, Garbas going on all over the place. So let's start off with why you're here and why I invited you here, because you have something special to talk about, something special that to offer to our community. Of course, you are a physician, right, doctor? What is your specialty in medicine?
I'm Dr. Asha Menon. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I know you read my book.
I was going to ask people for your name, but you already gave it out. Dr. Asha, Dr. Asha Menon is the name, and of course, our Mefilians are very familiar with her. But the rest of you, you will find out what she's up to, what other things that she is doing besides practicing medicine, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So,
yeah, absolutely.
What we will do is tell us a little bit about yourself. What type of medicine you practice? What kind of field?
So I'm from India. I graduated from medical school, Rand Medical School in Mumbai, and I came here, did my residency in internal medicine. I've also done a fellowship in neuro-ophthalmology from Henry Ford Hospital, Detroit, and I practiced in the ICU as a hospitalist, and now I do a lot of urgent care work. I used to be also practicing as an internist as well, and that's what I do. And
you've been around,
course,
and you have practiced a lot of things. You are multi-talented, very, very diversified personality. You've been, as we were conversing before, you've been around many parts of the world too, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've been around. We lived in Saudi Arabia. Actually, moved from Mumbai, and then we decided to move to Saudi Arabia,
Hmm.
and we lived there for a while. And the children were happy. Everybody was happy, and then we decided to, for the betterment of the children, for the children, decided to move to USA. But we couldn't step into USA that easily, so we went to Canada. So I stayed in Canada for like a couple of years, got my
Okay.
citizenship, and then moved to USA, and then had to do
So
my
you've been
residency.
practicing here in the U.S. For a while now,
For
right?
a while, yeah,
Yeah.
20 years more.
And
more than 20
what's your
years.
specialty once again?
Uh, Internal medicine with a
Yeah.
fellowship in ophthalmology.
Okay, that's pretty tough terms for me to gather, but just in plain.
I do more of urgent care now. Yes.
Oh, you are in urgent care?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, and you must be pretty busy with the
Yeah.
situation with COVID and all that, right?
It's very busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, most of the time.
And I hope it doesn't come back, so you get much more busy.
I hope it doesn't come back, but there was a bit of a scare after the
Yeah,
holidays. Again,
yeah. Yeah,
the cases really increased.
and you yourself have to be very careful because you were
Yeah.
dealing with the people with those kind of
Yeah.
ailments.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking sometimes. Not now, but when it started, it was really nerve-wracking.
Sure,
It was
sure.
it was really hard. We had to work without any weapons, actually, without any gear and things like that. So
Yeah.
it was very tough.
Right, right, right. But I'm glad that you had the time to be with us. And whoever is in the field that you are into, they can always call me. And I forgot to give the phone number here. Of course, most people know the phone number 732 932 8800. And we have about 4 extensions. So if you dial 8800 and it's busy, we can go on to 8801, etc. So do call us. We look forward to you calling because after all, we take the time out on Sunday afternoon. Busy holiday season. Busy Sunday afternoon. And we try to bring you nothing but the best in terms of our community events, community program, community music. And we have a very special guest today. So if you have any special questions for her, of course, when we play a song or so, you can call in and relay that questions on the phone line, and then we'll relay that question to you, to Asha ji. So Asha ji, very nice of you to take the time out today. And any special, unusual things that you have seen over the years in your field of medicine?
COVID was the most unusual thing, right?
Right.
Absolutely. COVID was the most unusual thing which came our way.
Yeah.
And when COVID started, it was, we didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
None of us
It was
knew
like
what
a,
it was.
like a trick or treat by
I had a
the
patient,
nature. Yeah.
Yes, I had a patient come in with all kinds of vague symptoms, and I just couldn't fathom what it was. We didn't know about it. We
A lot
had
of
heard
people
about
didn't.
it. It was happening in Italy and other places, but somehow you always think it'll never happen to you, right?
Right.
That's life, and that's how we think. Like bad things never happen, and it happened. And I was there in the front lines, and we didn't have any masks. In fact, in those days, we were even told that we don't have masks. You cannot wear masks.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Man,
not
you got lucky
anymore.
that-
Not
Yeah,
anymore.
you were lucky.
Yeah.
We
and
were
so-
all lucky that we found out,
Yes.
realized
Yeah.
that I remember, Mr. Trump also making
Yeah.
fun of this new novelty, this disease that we were all struck with. Now you are kind of a little bit at ease with that disease, and maybe we'll come back, who knows. But anyway, we are happy that you are here. And besides practicing your medicine and going through all kinds of, I'm sure you have many interesting incidences in the field of medicine to talk about. We probably need 10-hour program, but let me ask you, and one thing that I do want to point out to my listeners that not only she's a physician, and you can ask her some medicine-related question, her specialty field. Of course, she cannot give out a lot of explanatory, subject of medicine, but what really got me interested, and she is very much interested in her new venture, which is writing books. So I don't know how you find time to write a book which is not related to your special field, your special. I mean, it's indirectly it is. Uh, the book is called Tame the
The mind.
the Mind. So not only you taming the body for a lot of people over the years, but you wrote a book called Tame the Mind, which is kind of, as I read it, it was kind of a novel, a regular, like a interesting novel that you can read, story, but it had a like indirect message, psychological messages into the book that you displayed, and that was what really struck me about the book, because it's a very easy, very interesting novel type of reading, but underneath of it all, I think you do have some messages, and the title says it itself, Tame the Mind, right? So tell us about the book, Tame the Mind, how it came about in your mind, and tell us. I know you told me that you love writing, and nowadays writing is basically on a computer, right? And so it's probably easier to do than picking up the pencil and going through the corrections and all that stuff. So tell me how you thought of a book. I know you love writing books, but how you thought of this novel type of, story type of book with characters that are could be very familiar to you as well as our readers and listeners. Um, how did you come up with this type of book rather than a book on medicine, let's say, and give people advice on what to do on certain type of issues, medical issues? So tell us how you got in.
This book was not intended to be written as such, but what happened was I always journal. I like to journal. I keep a track of stories and things like that. Yeah, that's been.
So you were reading a lot of novels yourself.
Yes.
And you got the ideas that
Yeah.
since you have
Yeah.
that fruitful
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, so I always write. I've been writing. I wrote poetry when I was 17 or 18 years old. So I've been writing these things. And one day I found a big suitcase of written material, what I had written, because I write with paper and pen, and I would dump it
Yeah,
in the suitcase.
I think a lot of us do that.
Right? And then what happened was...
A lot of my writing got washed away in
Right?
Ida, unfortunately.
Oh, no. Yeah, so that's how the writing process began, because I just enjoy writing, and it's nice to express yourself that way. And sometimes when I have to make a decision, I almost, make a column, I write down pros and cons, and then sometimes make a decision. So journaling was a part of my life, and nature inspires me. Everything else inspires me. People inspire me. The fact that I'm in medicine, I see like 30, 40 patients sometimes a day, and their human behavior inside, is something which I'm very excited about. So human behavior, the mind, how a person comes in, every patient who comes in is very different. It's
Very
not just
special,
from,
yeah.
very special, right? So the mind-body connection is something which interests me a lot. So the human behavior, human intelligence. So I was writing these stories, okay, and then what happened was America, like that America is like this. Everybody in India thinks that America is like milk and honey and everything. Everybody is happy here.
Land of opportunity.
I thought the same.
Yeah.
I thought the same. And then when I came here, I knew this is not a land of like milk and honey is not flowing here. We have to work very hard to get that milk and honey. You can get it, but you have to work really hard, right? And nobody is happy here. Everybody who comes I meet is stressed or anxious or depressed or something. So I was writing all this, what is happening and analyzing it. And a lot of times it was for my own sake. I wanted to know, like, what is happiness? I've written a lot about happiness and relationship issues, intimacy issues. I've written about these things, and it was all lying in that suitcase.
In your mind.
In
also.
my mind and in my mind,
Yeah.
So one day I spoke to somebody and that person said, why don't you just sit and write? And in 3 days, I compiled everything together.
Oh, wow.
But I had the material, but I took out the best parts, and I started compiling and, writing. And I think I wrote my first draft in 3 days, and which was my basic
Wow,
draft.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and it's how many pages does the book have?
The book has, I think,
Close to 200 pages.
200 pages, but you have to remember, I increased the font. I it's
Oh, yeah,
actually
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
150 pages, but
And
I
also a
wanted to
lot
put
of gaps between the
correct
chapters and
chapters in
yeah,
it.
yeah. I understand.
Yeah,
But
I wanted to make it
Well,
easy
you
for the
said you
reader.
wrote it in three days.
Yeah,
My salute to you.
thank you, thank
Because
you.
that's very
But
tough to do.
I had material,
Yeah,
but
yeah. You already had material on hand and in your mind.
in
So
my mind.
it would
Yeah.
be easier that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
So this book was not really intended for the public. It was intended for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a little nervous about publishing it in the first place. I
Uh-huh.
didn't want to publish it.
Yeah, because it's very different than
Yeah.
what people expect from a doctor.
Right?
Let's say, right?
No, that too. And I was not very keen on publishing it. But then I gave it to a few people. I gave it to like, 3 or 4 of my friends.
Close friends, yeah.
And then they said, this has to be told. You have to tell these stories.
Ah.
And that kind of
So
encouraged
you got
me.
inspired from
Yeah.
conversations with the people
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
love the book, right?
Yeah, they
So-
inspired me. And then I said, okay, that's fine. So let me go ahead.
So when was it published? I know you published it recently, and
Yeah.
we got in touch, and
I published during COVID season. So it was peak
2020.
of COVID. Yeah, peak of COVID. I didn't want to go through a literary agent. I was looking for literary agents, but I couldn't find somebody. And of course, at that time, everything was closed.
Yeah.
So I didn't want any changes made to what I'd written. I don't know that.
I see.
I don't know whether that was a mistake or not a mistake, but I didn't want any changes. I wanted the book. I knew it was not
Thoughts that you had
Yeah.
in mind, you put it all down on paper.
exactly. It was not. First, it was not meant for the public. Second, then once I published it, I didn't want it to be spread like I didn't want somebody else to come and tell me what to do or what not to do or change it or something like that.
Right.
That was the other thing. And of course, with my next book, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, there's a next book also coming.
But yeah, that was the thing. I didn't
So
want to.
tell us, like in brief,
Yeah.
some of the characters you have that I'm sure you picked up those characters from your own personal life experiences and your exposure to people, in your career and everywhere. So some of those characters, I'm sure, reflect your ideas of those type of people, right? So how do you, tell us, is any of those characters reflect you? I'm sure every does.
I think
Every author does that.
Yes, every author does that, and definitely a lot of experiences, some of the characteristics. I will not say that everything is me or everything is somebody else. It's inferred material, right?
Yeah.
I infer from other people, from their behavior, from their talk, what they tell me. I infer, and then I create a character of my own.
I see.
Yeah, that's how I do it.
Right.
And
So
that's
nobody
how I
has
did
come
it.
up. Nobody has come up to you after reading the book. Say, "Hey, wait a minute, you're writing about me, right?" Nothing like that.
Because I specifically, situations may be real. Situations
Yeah.
are real.
Yeah.
Some of the conversations are real.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, I have an obligation to mix and match and create a fictitious.
Fictionalize it rather
Yes,
than.
yes,
Yeah, of course. That's the way the authors
yes,
operate, right?
yes.
So, all right. What are you gonna do? Is you think about some more things to say to our audience, and the audience will start thinking about some things to ask you, and we'll play a song, which is well, I kind of left it as a suspense, but let me tell my friends, tell our listeners that since an author is in our studio, I'm playing songs from the books that were written by, well-known books written by authors. They were published before people started making movies out of that. And there are so many of them, of course, both here in this country as well as in Bollywood and everywhere else. So, and there are wonderful books, wonderful movies, wonderful songs from those thing. And I played one starting with a song from the movie Devdas. And Devdas happens to have at least 3 or maybe 4 or 5 versions in movie forms, in Bengali as well as Hindi, and it was written, of course, by a very famous person. We can ask our audience who that is, And if the audience, our listeners, can come up with some ideas of some songs from the movies which were based on books, not only just books from our country, any part of our country, or any part of the world. So that's the theme for today, especially made for you.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's an author theme. So I'm going to play another song that was also based on not just one book, but I think the Hindi version was based on another book, but it was also there was an also English version which was based on a book as well. So I'm sure it's a very popular song. I'm sure you will guess right away what movie it is from and who wrote those books that I'm referring to, that movie was based on. So let's invite people to answer the question as well as ask the questions of you. And if they have any comments, and the book, of course, we book is called the Tame the Mind, like taming uh, somebody. Tame the Mind. Here is the novel by Asha Menon, Dr. Asha Menon. So that's what we were discussing. That's who we have as a co-host today, a guest today. And of course, I chose the theme because of your appearance as an author. And I chose that theme of the movies based on authors' books. So I'm going to give you this song, which I'm sure everybody knows. And everybody knows, probably everybody knows that it was based on some books. And if they can come up with some names of the movies based on authors, feel free to give me a call. 732-932-8800. And you want to give out your number or your...
No, I can give out my Gmail. It's not my personal Gmail, but of course for the book, if anybody has any questions,
Okay.
it's tamethemind360@gmail.com.
Okay, 360, huh?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
You,
I don't use that.
people will be rotating 360, just thinking after the book.
Yeah, it's written in the book too, in one of the covers.
Okay, so Tame the Mind, one word,
Yes,
360
yes.
at
Gmail.com.
gmail.com. So they can send you an email right away, or if you have a chat line, they can send to you. Or the best thing is to call us here in the studio and suggest songs, suggest some questions for me to ask the guest here, or you can ask the question of the guest of how this book is about, came about, and how the book is all about, and what is the reaction of the people who have read this book and where they can get it. All right, so let me play this popular song. Now you can talk. Now you can talk. You're very, very familiar, and I'm sure it is familiar, and it was familiar to Pramod Bhai, our very knowledgeable, loyal listener and affiliate and good friend. So thank you very, very much, Pramod Bhai, for checking up with us on your favorite program. And of course, you have known Ashaji just like we have for a while, and you are just as curious as we are how she wound up writing this book, which is kind of unrelated to the field that she's in. And you suggested some wonderful, a very wonderful song from a very, it's an author-written book, and a lot of people don't know that, and you picked out a very, very classic, almost vintage era movie, which was based on a book, and a vintage era musical piece that I'm going to play. But before that, just with the author or the director and producer of this movie that Pramod Bhai talked about, he also was involved in another movie written from a book or many, many books and historical figure, of course, a figure that goes back into the scriptures almost. So I'm going to play that song first, and then with that same director in mind, and also another personality that's related to that director. Both of them have their death anniversaries in the month of October, so it will be a kind of a double tribute as well as satisfy my theme today. So let me do that. Pramod bhai, thank you so much for your call, and I encourage other people to call as well. Let's see if they can come up with some suggestions, some questions, and some ideas for playing today on their favorite program, Glimpses of India, Bharat. So let me play this one. Wonderful song, and I'm sure you know the name of the movie and the author on whose work this movie was based, and who is the tributee. Who are the two tributees involved in this song that have the death anniversaries this month of October. October is also, don't forget, haunting month, and also we have the Navratri season upon us. So if you want me to divert our attention to some garbas or Navratri songs, or even haunting songs, and there are a lot of books and movies made from some haunting books as well. So that could be part of our subject as well. But right now, let me bring out Mahendra Kapoor singing this wonderful song from a movie that was directed by a very famous director whose tribute is this, as well as a person in the movie that also has a tribute pending in this month. And you tell me the name of the film and, of course, the name of the book, on which, or the author, I should say, on whom this, from which this movie was taken. All right. Well, कौन हो is the question. Uh, कौन हो जिसने ये मूवी डायरेक्ट की थी, और कौन है जो जिसने ओरिजिनल बुक रिटन की थी, जिसके पर ये मूवी बनाई थी. So if you know the name of the movie, you probably have an idea on the original book by, well, it was like going back to the vintage, going back to the scriptures almost. And also, the two people involved in the movie are the tributees of this month. So I combined tributes with my theme for today, and to give the blame or the credit to that for that theme is a person sitting next to me, my special guest, who is an author. So I said, why not create a subject, a theme, based on authors' books? So that's why I did that. And once again, Asha Menon, Dr. Asha Menon, I should say. Everybody knows, of course, by Asha. And you will not have any nirasha talking to her. She is here in the studio, and you can give us a call, 732-932-8800. You can answer the questions, or you can even talk to her, and if the question is appropriate and pertinent to our discussion today, we can have that conversation live on the air as well. So what do you think, Asha? Do you remember that song?
That song I don't remember.
I know you are very much into music as well.
Absolutely. I love singing.
But the song Well, it's by Mahendra Kapoor, and wonderful song. And was the movie was itself was kind of a little obscure, and it was based on a previous movie by the same producer director, and but this was the version that I played that song from, and the same personality was involved in this earlier movie, and this movie goes back to the vintage era. And thank you very much, Pramod Bhai, for suggesting this song and this movie based on a book that was very, very popular. See if you can come up with the name of the movie and name of the author if you can go further. And I'll take the phone calls, so just hold off on the line. And as soon as I start this song, and by the way, you can still search and go to Google Azam Zindabad to come up with the answers to my questions. So that is the idea. Suggestion by our very knowledgeable person, Pramod Bhai. Thank you very much, Pramod Bhai, for coming up with that little classic. And the movie was made by Vishantaram, and I believe he was in the movie as well as his then wife, Jayashri. And both of them have their death anniversary this month, so it kind of appropriate that you chose that song for us to play. And it was based on the story Dr. Courtney's Ki Amar Kahani. Dr. Courtney's, of course, is a true doctor, and since we have a doctor in the house, that turned out to be quite appropriate, huh, Asha? You don't know anything about that Dr. Courtney's, though, right?
I don't know anything
A
about
little
Dr.
bit before our
Courtney.
time.
Much before our time.
But anyway, so there happens to be doctor also, and very wonderful
I've heard
story.
about it.
Yeah, very wonderful story. He was kind of a pioneer in terms of coming to in the Himalayas and coming to coming to India, and very interesting story, which was translated into nice. That book, that movie was quite popular in those days, made by Vishantaram and his wife Jayashri, who played the lead in that movie, and she sang also that song. And the song before that I played was from a movie called Stree. And Stree is based on, if you remember, Shakuntala. So it was kind of a story, and also a tribute to Jayashri, who was also in Stree, and Vishantaram. So it was a tribute, a double tribute, as well as a story book that was translated into a nice movie. And so anyway, if you have any other suggestions for other books, it could be classics to contemporary style, and Ashaji, who's sitting next to me, probably prefers a little bit more contemporary style. So go ahead and suggest some songs, some movies about that. And I talk to you, and of course the number here is 732-932-8800. You can call us, and if you like to talk to Ashaji and the voice is coming out clear of wherever you are, so that we can put you on live with Ashaji, who's our special guest, live on the air, and you can ask not too many embarrassing questions, but good questions that will elucidate her book and herself and her creativity that, of course, we are experiencing from her book, Tame The Mind. Okay, Ashaji, what do you think? You had a nice caller,
Yes,
appreciating what you have done and
Yes.
what your book is all about, and so you can give out his name if you like, and tell him thanks
Anjali
from us.
And, yeah, they're my friends, and thank you, Anjali and Anjali, very much for the call, and I appreciate always your comments and compliments as well. And thank you so much.
So you can get this book, I guess
Yeah,
on
you can get it on Amazon. The
Amazon.
title of the book is a little long, so it will be good if you can just
Right.
go on Amazon, any Amazon, India, UK, Canada, Amazon.com, and put my name, Asha Menon, yeah, and the book comes up actually.
All right. Unless you start
And it's a
writing,
blue cover.
unless you start writing 10, 15 books, and then if you put Asha Menon, there will be a whole chapter.
Yeah, yes.
But anyway, wish you luck on that
Thank you.
too. Keep writing. I
Yes.
enjoyed your writing, and very freestyle, very good style, entertaining books, entertaining style. So if you like writing, maybe you can help me write some of the good stuff that I want to write too.
Absolutely. Tell
But-
me about it. I will.
But anyway, anything else you want to say before I play another song that is also
If you have a question, go ahead.
basically you told them where to get the book. We told a little bit about this kind of the subject matter. You can, you know, give more information about the subject matter. It's story, almost like a common day-to-day story of lovers and what goes through their minds and how they tame the mind, if you will. So just briefly tell us a little bit about the book itself, the subject matter.
Yeah, the book, like I said, it was written very organically and not meant to be written as a book, but as different stories.
All right, what I need to do is take a break here because 4 o'clock is coming up, and then you can come back and we can go through that again.
नया गाना है.
WRSU 88.7 FM, New Brunswick, New Jersey, and we have a privilege and honor to have a special guest today, a community-minded doctor, Dr. Asha Menon, who, of course, practices medicine, but also she has written a book called Tame the Mind. So, once again, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to play another song that is based on our theme, and of course, guess what is coming? Roots are coming. So Halloween is coming, and we should play a haunting song, and it so happens that it's also part of our theme, and the theme is movies based on famous authors' books that were translated into Hindi movies from which we are taking these songs. So tell me the name of the book from which the movie from which I'm playing this next song was taken from. Of course, that was not the original version, as Haksab pointed out, but original version was in the great legendary voice of Lata Mangeshkar from, of course, B Sal Baad was the name of the movie that was made from an original Agatha Christie book. Agatha Christie, the great mystery writer, whose many, many books have been translated into Hindi, into movies, both here in this country as well as, of course, India doesn't stay behind either. So Bollywood movies based on her stories, many stories actually. So we will continue with our theme of books translated into movies from which we are taking the songs the movies from which we are taking the songs, and we try to kind of include our tributes of the month, as well as, of course, our author in the studio, Asha Menon, who wrote a wonderful book called Tame the Mind. So we are chatting with her. If you have any special questions for her, you can always give us a call. But sometimes the calls come in at the same time, and we cannot pick up because there's only one phone available, one answerer, me available. So that is a little bit tough. But right now, let me put Haksab on, and we'll chat about. Of course, he writes a lot of stuff too, and he wants to. Of course, he's our resident Shair-e-Azam and contributes to Bharatdarshan program many times. And today happens to be his time, so let me see if I can put him on.
बट पुराने
He's very-
गाने मत करिए अभी आज मत करिए
Well, हमारे listeners जो हैं, they go from classic to contemporary style song, and
haven't
usually
played many
based on a
contemporary
subject.
songs yet.
So we'll do it for you. And Haksab suggested some wonderful movies based on the author's books. So since the author is in the house, Ashaji is in the house, so we will definitely continue with that theme. And let's see, what would you? Let me play this song, and this was, and then we'll chat some more. And you talk about some songs that are more familiar to you. I hope you might have some familiarity with this movie. This was movie that was based on a book by our first Nobel Prize winner. You know who that is, of course, Rabindranath Tagore. And there were several books by him that were translated into not only Hindi, of course, but his own mother tongue, Bengali. So we have lots of sources for Tagore books that are made into movies. So let me play this one, and you can, our listeners who are trying to call before, when Haksa was on the air, when we are on the air, we cannot pick up the phone calls. So please call back. We appreciate your calling. We appreciate your contribution and your, interaction is very important. Otherwise, it gets kind of boring. But today is not a boring day. It's a beautiful day outside, and it's a beautiful day in the studio because Dr. Beautiful Asha Menon is here. And what a nice introduction to her beautiful book. So, Ashaji, anything you want to tell our listeners before I play that song from Tagore's book?
No,
Okay, I'll play that song, and then
yeah, that's
I'll encourage people to call in. And if they have any questions, they can always refer to that. And if they have any favorite movies based on authors' books, which is our theme for today, do give us a call, all right? So let me play this one. And it's kind of appropriate for the weather also. Not Savan, not Hariyala Savan, but nice weather. Of the book.
yeah, sure. I mean,
Not going too much detail because people have to go and read the book if you want to know the whole
no,
story.
it's yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, it was my search for happiness. That's why I wrote that part on happiness.
Kind of a based on
it's
your
all
experience.
my search,
Yeah.
for all these things like
Search for
relationship
happiness, you
issues.
mean?
Yes, searching for happiness. What
Gotcha.
is happiness? It was my search. It
Uh-huh.
was my search for different people coming with relationship issues.
Right.
It was my search. I had this patient who came, who was rejected, a 20-year-old boy who was rejected by a woman and a girl, and a breakup, and then kept coming every 2 weeks crying to me. So came
So it
to
was
me,
based
"Hey."
on your
So
experience of
so the
that.
rejections, so. And sometimes I feel men don't have a platform. They don't talk to each other.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Don't tell the truth here.
Okay. So I think it's a platform for everybody, but yeah, I wanted to support that
Okay, and I think
Part
that was a
also.
great subject that you chose.
Yeah.
Well written, very soft, smooth reading. You don't get tied up into complex stories or complex thinking on your part or anything like that. It's a very simple, uh, good, well flowing book, enjoyable book, and we encourage people to go ahead and read your book and get some information, get some pleasure out of everyday life story. So thank you very much for coming up with this idea and coming up with this story and coming up with this book and coming up to the studio to talk about it. So Ashaji, thank you so much. Any more writing? You're gonna write. You said you were into writing. You were
No, I'm
interested
into
in
writing.
writing.
I'm going to write, because of the response from this book. Some people call it philosophical. Some people have even told me that a web series can be made of this.
Ah,
Really?
yeah, that's a
You
great
brought
idea.
this theme, so
Yeah, yeah.
I-
Then
I
we'll
thought
we'll
those
make a
reviews-
movie out of your book,
And some have
and then
said
I'll
it's-
play a song from that.
Some have said it's thought provoking. So so the response has been good. So I'm definitely going to write another book. I'm already prepared a book. And it's for children, values for children.
Oh,
and,
okay. Yeah, that's a good
parenting
idea.
and the differences between parenting styles and things like that.
Oh,
So
okay.
a lot of information.
We have phone calls coming in, so
Sure.
let
Yeah,
me
go
pick
ahead.
up the phone call.
Yeah.
And if they want to talk to you directly on the air, just say so, and we'll put you on air conversation, And, so hopefully you are enjoying our special program today with a special guest.
Definitely.
So 732-932-8800, and of course you can listen to it on 88.7 FM dial. And if you're out of the area, you can always log on to the great internet, WRSU.org, and you can listen live. This is Dave Joshi, the original DJ, and yes, the phone calls are coming. So while I pick up the phone call, I'm playing another song from another movie based on another story, and you tell me the name of the author, name of the movie, name of the book, and name of the author. We actually did which novel or which book inspired you, and kind of how do you, what book is the basis of your style, let's say?
Okay, there are two questions. So the book, I always read books, A.J. Cronin, Somerset Maugham, and P.G. Woodhouse. But Paulus Buck has inspired me a lot.
Of course.
She has inspired me. Good Earth, Paulus Buck is one of my favorite authors. But the book which actually I felt that I could write is from Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. That's a more recent book. The others are British authors, but Eat, Pray, Love is by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she's an American author.
American author.
Yes, and that is one of the books.
Any-
That is the book which made
What's the name of the book?
Eat, Pray, Love.
Eat, Pray, and Love.
Yeah.
And
And-
is it like recent books or?
It's contemporary. I don't know when it came out, but I think 2006 or 2008 it came
I see.
out.
And that was very, very popular.
It's very popular.
And
Yes.
that's one of your favorite books, I guess.
That
right?
is.
That inspired you?
me to write.
Okay, well, that's a good
Yeah.
answer. Thank you.
Yeah. And what was the second question?
The
right?
second, yeah, go ahead. Oh, you forgot the second.
No, he asked me.
Yeah, which book inspired you?
Yeah.
And what is, I forget too, but what is the suggestion from you to people who are like in mood for writing? I mean, what
What inspired me, right?
yeah, and what inspires
Right.
you, and
Yeah.
what would inspire people who are novel to this
Right.
writing?
Yeah. For me, the inspiration comes from a lot of things, from people, from human behavior.
Right. Okay.
From their mental makeup, from how they talk, how they walk, how they, I kind of observe. And it's not a conscious observation, but it's there behind the scenes. Nature is another thing. So when when I wrote a prose, a tryst with God, I wrote a prose, and that's in this book, Tame the Mind. And in that, it was autumn, and I was enjoying the miraculous outdoors,
Right.
and that it prompted the whole prose came to me. That was one inspiration. I was running in the park one day, and I was inspired to write about America. I wrote a poem. It came in my mind. I wrote the whole poem.
Did you bring the poem with you?
I actually brought the poem.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
It's in my bag.
maybe after.
Yeah, but I didn't publish it yet. The reason is
That's
I wrote
fine.
it.
You can publish it here on the air.
Yeah, no, that's why. No, but the reason is I wrote about gun violence too. And that kind of put me, like, I didn't want to get into any kind of controversy. So it's a nice poem. It's 3 pages long, but at the same time, I didn't
Well,
want to.
how about you just give us a
But
little.
I think I will. I need somebody to push me to publish it.
Well, from that poem, we can give maybe a few lines
Yeah, sure.
after this.
Yeah.
So let me play a song
Yeah.
from our theme.
Okay.
And another great story writer
Yeah.
who was actually there are very few movies that were composed by the great music man Ravi Shankar, and I also interviewed Ravi Shankar too, and his daughter, by the way, also. But this movie was based on a book as well, like Haksab mentioned, and the book was translated into a wonderful movie with great music by great Pandit Ravi Shankar. Let me play that song for Haksab and everybody else, and then you can bring out a little synopsis of your poem.
Sure.
Okay. Great peppy song by Pandit Ravi Shankar, composed by Pandit Ravi Shankar, of course, and sung by Rafi Saab himself from the movie Godan. Hope you enjoy that, and that the story of Godan was, of course, a famous story of by a good author, and Haksab mentioned that, so I wanted to play that. Also, another story of another personality that, of course, Haksab mentioned is from another movie, and we will probably get a chance to play a song for Haksab because this was written by Amrita Pritam, the original story. Amrita Pritam happens to be the former lover of Sahil Ludhianvi Saab, and Sahil Ludhianvi and Amrita Pritam both have their death anniversaries this month. So it will be a great double tribute as well as our part of our theme of authors translated into popular movies with popular songs. Anyway, and speaking of popular author, maybe one of these days we will make a movie out of her books. Asha ji is here with us, Asha Menon, and time is running out. So, Asha ji, you mentioned that you also write poetry.
Yes.
And you haven't published any collection of poems,
No, I
right?
haven't.
But give us a little glimpse.
Okay.
This is Glimpses of India, so
Yes.
let's have glimpses of Asha Menon.
Okay. I'll read out a couple of paragraphs from the poetry. This is all about America, which I have written, and what I'm describing is America, and I've titled it as America. And white, black, brown, they come from far off lands with different dreams and demands. The same red blood flows in their veins, some free, some came in chains. She fights to protect other lands, she sends soldiers afar, yet fails to protect her own, falling prey to weapons of war. She's bold, alluring, seductive, and the hope of humanity. Yet, people slain on her streets outnumber some wars fought in history. The world wants a piece of her. They leave their roots in search of milk and honey, sometimes to find blood flowing in her campuses and drug money.
Wow.
She's loved despite her imperfections, yet the world marks her misdirections. She's filthy rich. The top 1% have more wealth than half her population and many a nation, yet greed is her companion. She has enough food for at least 2 her size. Her ghettos are filled with starving eyes.
My goodness.
She has a health crisis. Obesity is her nemesis. Yet, the world loves her cola and burger. Yes, they yearn to be fed like her. She attracts the world, and the world apes her, sometimes forgetting their rich culture. I can continue if you wish, but
Oh,
otherwise we
wow,
don't
that's
have
a
time,
great,
so we'll
great,
stop.
great picture of America today.
Okay.
And even though some people may kind of not like the reality of it, but it's a reality. And you pointed that reality out very well. Nice, nice poem. And I hope you get it published. And I think it would go well because there are people who believe that so-called Americans are. There was, if you remember, there was a phrase called "ugly American," because they go around the world preaching that they are the most civilized country in the world, and yet they do all kinds of nonsense. So I think you pointed that out very, very well. So good luck and keep writing things like that and keep coming to the studio.
Okay.
We enjoyed your company today.
I enjoyed it too.
Oh, good, good, good. And keep listening and keep all your friends to keep listening, all right?
Sure.
We take the time out
Yes.
here on every Sunday afternoon from 3 to 5, most every Sunday afternoon, because sometimes we get preempted. It so happens that next Sunday we will be out, so the program will be kind of on the air, but with music from automation, right? So automation will take over our slot of Glimpses of India. But we'll be back soon. So thank you so much once again for coming in, and I'm gonna play this song as a tribute to Amrita Pritam and Sahil Ludhianvi, because their love story was, of course, well known. And this song is from the book written by Amrita Pritam called Pinjar. So, Haksab, thank you very much for bringing that to our. It's time for us to say goodbye to you all and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the Sunday afternoon, beautiful Sunday afternoon. And we had a beautiful time with Asha ji. Asha ji, thank you so much for taking the time out and keep writing. You write such wonderful words, and I heard your poetry is very nice. And keep writing and keep coming to the studio. Did you enjoy?
Yeah, I absolutely enjoyed. I enjoyed, and thank you so much for the invitation. And I will say thank you to all the listeners as well, and keep listening to WRSU.
Yeah,
Yes.
and keep calling when we are on the air so that we know we can get your interaction going and your comments and your compliments too, right? So thank you, Usha ji. Somebody said Usha before, so that's what I got into. But anyway, thank you, Asha, and we appreciate you coming, taking the time out. Come back, our doors are not open.
Now it feels
Not
like
open,
home.
but I can open them for you.
Thank you.
This is Dave Joshi saying Namaste and Jai Bharat on Glimpses of India. Bharat Darshan Radio saying Namaste.